And we are back for some more geometry fun, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we are going to continue our discussion on perpendicular lines, and specifically, we are going to identify and utilize the perpendicular transversal theorem in some context. In a future video, I will be doing a full proof of this theorem, but for right now, let's identify what it is and see how we can utilize it in some context. So let's break it down. If a transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, H and K are parallel to one another. J is our transversal. If J is already perpendicular to H, the only way that this is going to happen is if it's also going to be perpendicular to K. So if J is perpendicular to H and K are parallel, then J will also be perpendicular to K. Let's kind of play a little food for thought for right now. Why is this the case? Well, let's just imagine this for a sec. Very informally, and again, I'll do a full proof of this later, but if H and K are parallel, what happens? Well, these two angles right here are what types of angles? Those would be corresponding angles. And remember, if the two lines are parallel, then the corresponding angles are congruent. So that's the proof that's going to, or that's the theorem that's going to help us out in that future proof. So in this case, is S perpendicular to Q? Explain why or why not. And of course, I challenge you to try to pause the video and to see if you can answer it before I answer it here on my own. But let's break it down. S is already perpendicular to P. Is it also perpendicular to Q? So what do you think? Hopefully we noticed a little pause, a little hesitation maybe. Maybe not too sure, because what's the difference between this diagram and this diagram? We don't know that P and Q are parallel. So this only is going to let us use our perpendicular transversal theorem if P and Q were parallel. So I'm going to say no. Since we do not know that P is parallel to Q, we can't make a conclusion that S is perpendicular to Q via the perpendicular transversal theorem. So there's our perpendicular transversal theorem. A little bit of use in application. Like I said in future video, we will prove said theorem.